Let's first, can I get a motion and a second to have Member Garcia join us today?
Grant, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Say aye. All in favor? Grant, all in favor? All right. Thank you so much, Paula, for joining us. All right, there's also been a request to allow remote participation from Member Chavez and Member Rutledge. We're traveling on county business, so let's read the recital. Pursuant to Section 7A of the Open Meetings Act, quorum of the public body is physically present, as we now have. A majority of the public body may allow a member to attend, and this one is for business of the public body. We have a motion by Member DeCiani.
Grant, we go.
Oh, second.
I can vote now. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much, Member Rutledge and Member Chavez, for joining us.
Thank you.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Member Chavez,
Here.
Member Selman,
Here.
Member Renahan, Member Eckhoff,
Here.
Member DeCiani,
Here.
Member Rutledge,
Here.
and Member Deacon Garcia.
Here.
All right, thank you so much. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the minutes of our regular meeting, January 18th?
Second.
Any comments, questions, or corrections for the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. I will skip chair remarks. I'm sure Member Chavez will have some updates for us on our next meeting when she's back in town. Do we have any public comment this morning?
We do not.
So next up are our incumbent worker training memos. Do you want to go ahead and run us through those?
Oh, sure. I'll just run quickly through 3 different companies. Should be sitting over here. Hi, guys. 3 different companies. We have Aurora, Lombard, and Hinsdale. This time, the Hinsdale company is a very small business, and it's the first time that they've used our grant program. These grants will cover everything from multiple information technology certificates to CDL licenses to manufacturing. So it really runs the gamut of our different sectors that we focus on. And if there's any questions.
Have we ever done a little study to find out how successful these companies are, like 3, 5, 10 years after you give grants?
We have not.
Interested to know.
Yeah,
Stay in business.
it would be interesting to see that. We can do a little bit of digging and see if we can put something together
Find
on
the
that.
old grants, call, hello, you still in business? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm still in business. I'm confident that they're all still in business. I don't know about any other metrics, like as far as competitiveness increases or things
Number of
like that.
employees.
Or staff
Yeah,
retained, maybe?
staff retention. We can look into that.
Lisa, one thing you did have a stat on, however, in your annual report was the amount of money that the people who received training increased their earnings to.
Yes, the people that receive the occupational training that we fund, we do see big gains on that. And we stipulate now with these grants that we really look for cases where the actual employee is going to be getting either a promotion or a wage increase. So it's not just a benefit to the company, but also to the worker. But we could try looking into that for sure. I think it's a good point.
Thank you. Any other questions on the incumbent worker training memos? All right, do we need a motion or anything for those, or we're just?
We can place them on.
Motion to place on file.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Awesome, those all carry. Next up, WorkNet update.
Question for you, because I recognize Member Eckhoff needs to leave. You said a little bit early. Do we want to put Beth's presentation?
Oh, that would be a very good
First.
idea. Would that be okay, Beth? Awesome.
Okay, that's generous. Thank you.
Member Eckhoff's got about 6 minutes, I think. And we can still keep meeting once he leaves, so quorum wise we'll be
Do you
okay.
mind if I?
No, come on down.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Hello to those of you joining virtually. I'm going to wait till my presentation's up. Thank you for your patience. Some of these slides you may have seen before, but we're going to do a really quick recap of a couple of them. And then I have with me today Nathan Karsten, who is a longtime hotelier in DuPage County, Naperville, Lyle, Willowbrook, Westmont, all different properties and probably others that I'm not mentioning. So again, thank you for being here. Next slide, please. this is a picture of our cyclocross event that was in December. I want to just reiterate that Illinois was hit harder than most states. We actually were 4th from the very bottom, with just those couple of, or 5th from the bottom, I guess, if you count District of Columbia as a state. Illinois hotels saw a fall in revenue of $2.4 billion in 2020. So our hotel industry was very, very hurt. Next slide, please. In terms of employment revenue, we were far below the national average again. So the nationwide employment dropped 17%. In DuPage, we dropped 70%. Suburban Chicago had a 67% decline on average in revenue. And that's because most of our hotel properties are large ballroom hotels that relied on meetings. So with the capacity limits, we were really hurting. And in fact, DuPage is going to struggle to recover probably a little bit later than most because we do have such large full service hotels is what we call those. Select service hotels, which are hotel rooms only without ballroom spaces or different amenities are faring a little bit better. So next slide, please. I'm going to reiterate, you can't market your way out of it, but you have to market your way through it. We have to be out in market, we have to be relevant, and we have to be pushing out DuPage County as a safe alternative to Chicago. And we want to make sure that when we go to trade shows and we're talking about DuPage County, we have gotten a lot of favorable responses that they love to fly into O'Hare, they love the drive market, and they love that they have a Chicago experience without actually having to go in the city of Chicago. Next slide, please. So today, I have listened, I have heard, I have taken feedback from all the presentations over the last year. I'm coming in today with a much lower ask than I originally asked, $2.8 million, and this is what we would be using it for. So grant programming to help the hotels and get it across the finish line is how I'm going to mention this. They no longer have transportation. They've had to sell off their shuttles. They no longer have some of the in-house AV equipment. They need help with hybrid meetings. We need some support with sports bid fees that I keep mentioning. I have 35 sports pieces of business on my books. And I know you saw an email that I just sent out. And I just showed Board Member DeCiani. I'm working on the Paralympic cycling event. I just stole a piece of business from Des Moines, Iowa. 2 weeks from now, we will be hosting USA Swimming at the Natatorium, which is a very, very big deal. So the Olympics that are heading to Paris in 4 years are going right through DuPage County. So very excited about that. We will be doing a marketing program, and Greg and I have plans to put together a robust DuPage County presentation, and I'll go through our strategic markets that we're going to hit. And then, as you know, Greg, workforce development, and myself sat on the committee with CMAP at the direction of the 7 collar counties. So we had to cease all programming. So we would be asking for $50,000 to resurrect that program. As of right now, my colleagues in Rosemont, Meet Chicago Northwest, several other Chicago bureaus are already asked Cook County for money. And so we're going to get that program up and running again. So obviously the goal is to restore business, help our hotels, growth. It is called rescue money. So we need that money now. Next slide, please. So programming. So some of these, I think we talked about it really quickly, but those are some of the wonderful pieces of art that we worked with Mr. Bedeloff there. We're obviously trying to recover room nights, but we have very solid metrics. We are not a bureau that just puts out information. We have very strong key metrics that we can show you, and I'm going to give you an example of that. So again, $2 million would be used for grant programming. It would not be going through us, a check to us. It would be working with a committee, making sure all the invoices are submitted. We would be working with your finance committee, and so those would all be approved and vetted before they would go into the county level. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk real quickly about cyclocross. Hopefully you were able to see a lot of this. We had a lot of participation with elected officials there. That heat map on the top left there, We had a lot of people from Seattle. We had a ton of people. You can see that red orange dot there. That's Colorado. We had a lot of Colorado folks here. We had a lot of East Coast participants, and then we had a lot of Chicago visitors. Thank you, Mr. Epcot. So we also got lots of press. We were on WGN, Fox, Tribune, and if you haven't seen cycling in December, it was muddy and fabulous. We also saw a 3% occupancy growth in December when our hotels needed it most. Real quickly, I want to point your attention also, because we had the generosity of Cantini to actually create a course for us. They had to hire people in their food and beverage in the visitor center. So we were able to keep a lot of people full-time at Cantini, which they desperately needed in December. So I have a little quote there from one of our food and beverage folks, Sue. Next slide, please. So the second ask would be $750,000 to ask for marketing dollars. I did put future launch because obviously sands are shifting all the time, and we're seeing that we're coming out of the Omicron variant. I think Mr. Bedeloff and I would like to start immediately so that we are in market, ready to rock and roll when May comes, because you don't turn things over right away, right? You have to plan, you have to be strategic for the year. Next slide, please. And then the third would be our program with the 7 color counties. So we launched The Only Thing Missing Is You. We had, it's hard to see, but we had all of our representation there. So you would hover over DuPage County and up would be served different suggestions of things to do outside that were safe. This program had millions of impressions. CMAP, the Chicago Metropolitan Planning, oversaw that. And we, under David Whitaker from Chicago, who obviously left recently, but we're really hoping the leadership between myself and the North Shore will get this up and running again. Next slide, please. So I continue to talk about 85% of the hotel taxes in the Chicagoland area. Unfortunately, we have not received any state grant funding. Next slide, please. I have exhausted every search. We have tried everything, and we were not eligible because I'm going to tell you, frankly, we are DuPage County. My office is located in Oak Brook. I'm not a disproportionate area, and my grant gets tossed aside. So I have tried and tried and tried. My board has tried. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, that this committee knows that I have exhausted every opportunity available. This is just a slide that talks about, again, what Greg and I would be doing together to really talk about the 3-hour drive market and the 6-hour drive market. That doesn't mean we wouldn't hit people that were flying in, but we have a huge population of people that we can hit from just a few hour drives. Next slide, please. So again, my ask for this year would be $2.8 million. That doesn't mean that, you know, I might not be coming to you in future years. However, for right now, this is what is going to help our hotel properties, our meeting venues for now, so that they are getting immediate relief. I do have communities that have committed to their own ARPA efforts. And several of them are running it through our programs, but it would be focusing on just their communities. So we want to make sure, you know, that there's still that DuPage essence out there. Next slide, please. I also want to bring your attention to the fact that Chicago got a $10 million issuance for tourism. And about 3 weeks ago, the Chicago, I said this already, but the Chicago suburbs from Cook County got $8 million. That's Schaumburg, that's Meet Chicago Northwest, that's the Woodfield area, and that's Rosemont. Why that's relevant for DuPage County, if those 3 bureaus who are identical to what DuPage County has to offer in terms of meeting business, we're competing against each other, they will have a competitive advantage and DuPage will not. It's imperative that we have some tools in our toolbox, that we are going after the same business and we need to be able to win it. Obviously, all those other ones are still outstanding, but once ARPA money starts flowing through, other people will be asking. State Representative Tara Costa-Howard, I'm bringing your attention to that blue box there. Back again, she's on the tourism committee at the House, and Susie Glowiak is on the Senate committee. I have testified at those committees, and she is frustrated because she has gone to bat for me so many times to get money, and we just cannot get any from the state. So I wanted to just mention that again. So we're coming to you today to try to shake that tree loose a little bit. Next slide. So again, I don't think anybody in this room was here, but when we had the cyclocross event in December, Tanya Paravano from Andrew's Garden, which is one of those pictures right there, the second from the right, she had people in her flower shop in Wheaton. What we do is help small businesses. And when a few months ago, when we talked at the finance committee meeting, we want to help as many people as possible. This is what we do. Supporting our hotels, supporting small business, putting people back to work. They cannot make a living working Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They cannot make a living when the restaurants are opening at 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock. We need to drive demand back to our area so these people can have full-time jobs. Next slide, please. I'm happy to answer questions, but I wanted to give you just a quick, if Nathan would come up here, the state of the hotels. I really did not prep him to talk about, I swear. I just wanted to give you the struggles that they're happening before you start. Yesterday, there was a bill that got filed and I got it at 4:30 yesterday, and I knew about it. There was a bill filed by Kim Buckner and Greg Harris to help the hotels. Every hotel in the state, $1,500 per hotel room. They started high. It may or may not pass. They knew there'd be some negotiation. That money will be used for payroll and benefits. The hotels desperately need it. What we're going to be doing, again, is helping DuPage County specifically because we need to work harder. We've got big properties. We have to fill those ballrooms. So take it away, Nathan.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time today. I'll be quick. So I've been in the industry for over 25 years, been with Beth for 25 of those years, basically.
Oh no.
I'm bigger box, so ballroom as well, and they're harder to fill right now. Our biggest challenge is staffing. So I am not selling the future. I am setting the ballroom today. Okay, I'll be in the ballroom putting screens up and putting tables and chairs down, as opposed to selling into June and July when I need to fill the ballroom. So it's labor right now, it's supply chain. We are not able to go through our preferred vendors because they don't have it. So now we're going to smaller vendors and we're spending $6 more for toilet paper as opposed to what we should be doing for our vendors in supply chain. So things in that area are costing more, but we're competing with everybody now. In Cook County and Rosemont are by far our biggest competition in our backyard, but Indianapolis, Milwaukee, Detroit are also on our heels and are also getting a lot of money as well. So I'm a strong supporter, been on the board, executive board for a number of years, and I do hope that we can get some more money to help DuPage get more tax money from us, ultimately. So thank you again for your time this morning.
I'm just briefly to kick off. I want to thank you for how much work. I know you've been working so hard with Member Chavez and with staff to sort of right size and keep looking at the market and adjusting. So I think that's really the challenge of your request, is that it changes day by day. If you'd asked us in November if we thought we'd be here, none of us would have thought we'd still be in this scenario. So looking forward and looking at the ways in which you're collaborating both at the county and sort of regional level, I think are setting us up for success. I want to go to Member Rutledge with any questions.
Yes, thank you. I have a question or two and then a statement. I'll say that I was happy to support Beth's first ask for marketing. As a small business owner, I understand that people have got to know you're there. And if you don't tell them that, they can't come spend dollars with you. So my first question, Beth, is you mentioned that there was a 3% growth in hotels in December. Can you translate that into dollars, please?
Oh. It would obviously vary between each of the hotels and what their rate was, but let's say $100 rate on average, depending on, let's see, 3% growth. We probably had 7,000 hotel rooms, $100. So that might be 70,000 in revenue. For the Village of Lisle, I'm going to use an example, 5% hotel tax. But more importantly, you have to remember that some of these hotels are at 20%, 26% occupancy. So 3% to them was a really big deal.
Right. So thank you. That's my point. I wanted to put a little better dollar figure on that. 3% is kind of
Yeah,
fluffy,
yeah.
for lack of a better
Can I
word.
also tell you that, and I didn't bring it with me, but I'm able to pop that event into an economic impact calculator. The value of that event was about $3 million. That's
Thank you.
food and beverage, transportation, hotel revenue, recreation, retail, all of that. So about $3 million is what that meant for the county.
So
Thank
we
you.
got a pretty good sales tax bump from your marketing efforts there, didn't we?
Mostly sales efforts, but yes, absolutely.
Okay. Then my second comment I want to make is you said that Will County gave their tourism bureau $5 million. And I'm sure I don't have to tell all of you that Will County is not a mecca of tourism like DuPage County is, or doesn't have the amount of draw that we have. So can I make a motion that we give you $5 million?
Let me also just really quickly correct. Will County has asked for that. They have not
Okay.
gotten that yet. So the two that have received money is Chicago and then Cook County, suburban Cook County. What's that total again? 10 for Chicago and 8 for the first year for those communities, so those suburban bureaus. So to have Rosemont have more tools
Yeah.
when they already have an airport departure tax that they're getting, for Chicago North Shore to have the identical Westin Lombard in Northbrook, that's our McCormick place. They now have money to help sell that. We need to be competitive.
Yeah, and I don't think this gets you there, but thank you. I'll wait to hear what others have to say.
Thank you. Chair Chavez.
Hi, thank you, everyone. And to Member Rutledge's point, I'm hoping that this is our first ask. I've been partnering with Beth. We wanted to be respectful of the changing environment of COVID. Obviously, Omicron threw us all for a loop when we thought, man, when is this ever going to end? So my hope is that this is the first ask over the next few years, but that we as a board are ready and willing to continue these gives to support the tourism industry. We know it's been devastated. So I want to thank Member Rutledge for her passion for this community and for this industry that's been hurt. I know that we need to do what we can in DuPage County to make sure that we're supporting. So my hope is this is the first ask for them.
Thank you, Chair Travis. Member Renahan.
Thanks, Beth, for coming in. No one can say you are not a dog on a bone. Kind of love it, right? Thanks for coming in. You have been here several times to address, and I guess that's kind of my question is like, what are we looking for? Because this ARPA is a 5-year payout situation. We have 5 years to spend, and I know on Health and Human Services, we've given a total of 10.6 looking at that 5-year horizon. So if we're looking at 2.8 possibly now for, your program, I mean, like, are we going to be looking at, are we going to put more into our tourism than we are to our nonprofits helping for food insecurity and homelessness and all these things that we know are so very important? I mean,
Hey,
I'm going to give you 2 things and then
sure.
after it all together. The other thing is with our nonprofit stuff, we're really putting emphasis on branding it properly, like making sure that DuPage County is kind of getting some credit for taking the federal dollars and getting them out to people. I would like to emphasize, I would like, a good branding program on this. So if you just address those 2 things.
So branding, I think, obviously, we've had conversations, we would hire an agency to really get the brand out there. I have several thoughts. I've mentioned them to Mr. Bedeloff yesterday. We have been working with our marketing agency to identify the markets that we would best be going after. So I think there's opportunity to really have a solid brand that really speaks to both economic development, workforce development, or 3, and tourism. The audiences are a little different, but the messaging could be the same, that we're a safe, affordable alternative in terms of our hotel rates, that we are business friendly, and that we're trying to get people back to work. So that's kind of all the 3-prong messaging. I've always said I will never win a beauty contest with social services. And in fact, obviously I'm a big advocate for that. But what we do is bring money to our communities that can help social services. So I think my ask is very reasonable. To Member Chavez's comment, it is spelled out in the ARPA rules that hard-hit industries such as tourism and hospitality should be considered first and foremost. And so I think, again, helping a lot of different businesses, even not-for-profits, which one I am, will be instrumental in helping a lot of different people. So even the museums right now are hurting. So we can help, that whole entire brand will help everyone, so.
And one last thing, could you send us the information on that hotel bill that you had mentioned?
Yeah, Nick is gonna send it. I asked him before he left. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, it's, when I saw that yesterday, I'm like, oh, that's gonna, we're helping the hotels finally, right? They have received nothing. But I think, that'll be negotiated down. They will be using that for staff because Nathan's making coffee, Nathan's cleaning rooms, Nathan's making beds. Am I speaking for you? You heard him, he's setting up the rooms now. So let them have that money. That is going to help them, but what's your marketing budget?
Oh, it's very limited right now. It's been cut even more because of what happened in January. So they're not even giving me a hard number because of the uncertainties.
So again, helping, my extension of my marketing is going to help all of our properties, but Drury Lane and the Mackinac Art Center and the Andy Warhol. I'm not supposed to say that yet. We have Alabrejas that's coming to Cantini, which are those big sculptures, and we're trying to drive more eyeballs into Cantini. We're working with West Chicago and Winfield and different biking events that I think will be really great for our communities, because the brand that we started with our new rebranding years ago was, we felt like DuPage County had enough to stand on our own 2 feet. We did not want to put Chicago in our name. And now I'm like, whew, because if you'll notice, Chicago Southland, Chicago's North Shore, meet Chicago Northwest. Everybody had a locator of Chicago, and we are Discover DuPage. So again, that to me right now is the blessing that we talked about, our great outdoor spaces, which follows right into the COVID and the health and safety of our residents and our visitors.
Just one thing really quick before Member DeCiani, but I really appreciate your question because I think it helps us think about what the purpose of these dollars are. And so when we think about the 5-year projection we have for the social services, that's about long-term impact in people's lives. And I think we're not there yet with the hotels. We still are at the point where we're trying to save businesses, we're trying to save jobs. And if we don't invest in this way now, in 5 years, they won't even be there for us to kind of get to.
Yeah, and my hope is, that was my 1-year ask right now. If the hotels are recovering in a year from now, great. Won't we all be happy?
Other things to do.
I mean, we're seeing some little trickles, but I'm gonna let Nathan talk, but Monday through Thursday,
It's all weekend right now.
it's all
And
weekend
the
business.
threat of every variant just destroys what's on the books.
We have cancellations, like 3 weeks ago, we cancel. And then when the Vax card mandate in Cook County came about, we actually stole some business from Cook County.
Yeah.
And we were like, yes, we'll take this. So sands are shifting every day. And so this is what, the ask has to be a little flexible. So we will pivot a little bit if we need to, but I think it'll be, a lot of the business that we have, and I was just showing this Paralympic event, the Pro Swim Series, all the different things that we have in our books. I just wanted to show you real quickly. I have it right here. Well, I've got 35 pieces of sports business on our books. So for, here. This is all the bold is, and I didn't put this out because it's very competitive, but all the bold is things that I've already booked. So I've got all these pieces of business and actually more here. So we need bid fees, we need support. And even the FMC natatorium didn't really understand how that works in other cities and states. We hosted last week the Colorado Springs USA Swim. They needed pipe and drape, they needed hospitality rooms, they wanted bananas, apples, and whatever for their athletes. They wanted lunches for their coaches and their teams, and they all looked at me. So that's the kind of stuff that we need to do to make our communities welcoming and rolling out the red carpet, and we're going to need that. So
I think we need to support Beth. I think we should be able to hopefully come back with another round. So I like Member Rutledge's idea of coming with 5, but my concern is I want to get this passed. So let's get the 2.6 to 8.8 now. And let's come back with another round as we see progress. And I think the time is right. The public health officials I speak to are telling me that we are seeing the end of this and things are reopening. And our numbers are way down right now. So hopefully with those, I remember in 2009 when we were dealing with the recession, we kind of doubled down at Elmhurst and said, let's embrace growth because it's going to come roaring back, and it did. So hopefully, we can seize the moment, because I think the time is right. 6 months, a year ago, probably not as right, because we saw the variants kick up, et cetera. So, but hopefully this is coming to an end and we can see a nice, but if we do it in 2 stages, I think we'd be safe, and I think we can get it done. So let's get the 2.8 approved, and let's come back for another round and give us advice on that so we can make sure we support you.
And then come back with metrics and show you the success that we've had.
Mhm.
The last thing I'm going to leave you with is, I know Member Chavez has said this many, many times. I think one of the last corporate-owned hotels in DuPage County was sold January 31st.
Yeah.
So they are all owned by small to mid-sized business owners. We are seeing some threats of foreclosure. So we want to make sure that we're really supporting. So, I mean, we've got to help our hotels and our properties and our meeting spaces. So thank you for the very open consideration of this.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, before we move on from this item, there's no more questions for Beth. So our goal is to get this on the next finance agenda. So I think I'm seeing consensus here for us to move forward, get this on finance next week. And I think if I could make sort of a personal ask, I'm sure Member Chavez would echo, make sure we're speaking to our members in our districts. I think it's really important that we're making these investments. I mean, I'm looking at Member DeCiani because I can just picture all the hotels in our districts and how this will be incredibly helpful.
Yep.
And I asked Nick on his way out if he could send us information on the Buckner-Harris bill. And so I think we'll look at that, and then maybe our next step there would be to go to Member DeSart and see if we can get support through the legislative committee, because I think that sounds like it has some potential upside. All right,
Very
so consensus received, staff.
Yes.
We're going to move forward on that.
Unanimous.
So with leave of the body, let's go back to item 7 and do our WorkNet update, please.
This will be very brief anyway, because this was sent to everybody year in review, so I assume all people have looked at it. Just in the event that you haven't looked at it, I just kind of wanted to guide you through it briefly. Our theme this year was a recovery for all. If this is going to be kind of tricky because it's not slides, so yeah. So if you could scroll down a bit, we'll just look at some of the, skip past my picture. Keep going.
I can help you with that, Lisa.
Our marketing person at WorkNet insists on, a headshot. I'm like, I don't want my picture. Okay, so last program year, as you know, our program year runs July 1 through June 30. So we're a little bit different than the typical fiscal year, but we served with intensive career and training participants. So those are individuals that we spent funding basically on their education, 944 individuals. The average annual salary once we exited them from the program was $71,000, which is really high. I think that also is a reflection of increasing wages in different industry sectors because of the competitiveness of the labor market, but it represents an 11% increase in earnings on average. Now, remember, we serve everybody from entry level to executive, and everybody in between. So 11% is really significant, and we're proud of that figure. If you could scroll down a bit more.
I wonder, do you think there's a lot of workforce programs that their wages are outpacing inflation right now? I would bet you guys are probably an outlier in that regard. That's pretty impressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
But DuPage County, we've always been unique with the highly skilled workforce that we have. And so statewide, a lot of times our program participants do land higher wages because we have a lot of, tech professionals, and we have a really highly educated workforce. But I think that it could potentially be an outlier.
Yeah, this year that's really nice.
Overall, we expended $2.2 million on job seekers last year in the county. And our 4 key industry sectors that we always focus on, information technology, manufacturing, TDL, and healthcare, you could see the breakdown there. And then, you know what, if you want to just jump, again, I know you guys probably already looked at this. the heart and soul of this report was the video clips. And if you haven't had a chance to look at any of the videos, I strongly recommend it. All of those categories on the top there in the red box, there's a video for each of those categories. And if you want to click on, my personal favorite is Justice Impacted. This is a young woman who is a mom. She's in Naperville. You could scroll down to the video if you don't mind. This is an area that we're increasingly focusing on, and actually as a state, we're focusing on this. This is Daniela. She had a substance use disorder. She ended up involved with actually incarcerated. And then she came to us at some point post-release, and she agreed to share her story. So if you could play the video.
Can't hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said she's in Naperville?
Yeah. She really, it's almost like we scripted it, but of course we didn't. Like the way that how passionately she spoke about her situation, and then yeah, unfortunately, a lot of times we have issues with the sound on these, but workers with disabilities. We have a young man with a disability featured on here and what his experience was. It's just, it's a moving, 10, 15 minutes just to watch the video. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that. Apologize for the lack of sound, but there's some great stories. And I think that it's telling that people have such strong feelings about the experience they have with working with us, that they're willing to open themselves up and share. They sign a release, of course, that they want to tell their story. And I think that that's remarkable too. So those are some of the highlights from this report. We also served a bunch of businesses, as Joan mentioned earlier in the meeting, and you guys know from our standing agenda items. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And thank you for looking at it, and thanks for your time.
Awesome. Any further questions for Lisa today? Nice. Thank you so much.
Oh, the way when you can hear it, if you haven't seen it, yeah, it's great.
All right, any old business today? Seeing none, any new business? Oh, yep, I'm right now.
I just want to mention HHS today. We've talked a lot about childcare gaps and that kind of thing. And so we're having the Y come in today and talk about some of those assessment in DuPage County and certain, possibly some opportunities that maybe using ARPA funds. So if anybody wants to come join us, come on over.
Awesome, thank you. Member DeCiani?
Yes, Chairwoman Chavez and I have been talking about trying to do possibly another round of ARPA funding for small businesses. So we wanted to get.
Letting me know.
We wanted to. We wanted to get Beth's request out of the committee and pass it on the board, but hopefully we can talk about that over the next couple of weeks and see if we can get another round in here. Might not be as big, might be 5 million, whatever, but we've got a lot of businesses that are still struggling and need that extra push. So if we can talk about that, that'd be great. And I appreciate the chairwoman's leadership on that as well.
Very good, Locke, you still got staff for that?
Absolutely.
More
All right, thank you. I agree with.
And a lot of the requests will be coming from women-owned businesses because I've been dealing with them directly.
Getting them more because you said there was an issue with people not being properly registered, so you've been helping with that.
Right, but a lot of the requests that have been coming to me are dry cleaners. They're often owned by women.
Yep.
So Kiki and Addison, for instance, she had equipment break, and I know we got her some help. Greg Medloff helped with a state grant, but these folks are still limping and they've been beaten up so much.
I can't imagine cleaners. What are they washing?
Right, exactly. So we want to make sure that we give that. Now they're again, economy's opening. Our COVID seems to be thankfully in a better place, and we really need to make sure we support these folks as they come out of it. So many of them have borrowed from their homes and everything just to get by. So so I'm thinking these will probably be more the smaller businesses that but dry cleaners are a big one. So all right, thank you. Yep.
Anybody else under new business? All right, without objection, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Yep.